What you see here is not a Pepsi. Or at least, not the Pepsi you know and love. And the company's making millions off of your ignorance. Why? Because the only way their plan works is if you have no idea they even have a plan. Hi, I'm Dr. Panda, the only panda that blends bamboo into green juice. And in this video, I'm going to tell you all about Pepsi's big secret. A secret that started in 2023, and that no one has talked about until now. What's the secret? Why doesn't Pepsi want you to know? And how is the company making millions because of it? Stick around until the end, because I'll show you proof that everything I'm about to tell you is 100% real. This panda ain't gonna lie to you. It all started in April 2018, when the UK government came up with a brilliant idea to improve public health. A new tax, which quickly became known as the sugar tax. This tax specifically targeted sugary drinks, making them more expensive for consumers. And the moment it went into effect, companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi saw their worst nightmare come true. To give you an idea, with what Pepsi sold in the UK alone in 2017, they would have had to pay almost $13 million just in sugar taxes. Obviously, Pepsi wasn't happy about this, but they had one small consolation. The tax only existed in the UK. That is, until more and more countries started implementing it. And suddenly, Pepsi had a huge problem. Problem they needed to solve. Their profit margins were getting thinner and thinner, and this is when Pepsi's secret was born. But first, they knew they couldn't repeat the mistake of their biggest competitor when they introduced New Coke. New Coke was a formula change Coca-Cola made in 1985. They marketed it like a game changer, promising it would make their drink even better. But very quickly, they ran into a bitter surprise. The world hated the change. People were used to the classic taste of Coke. Now that it was gone, they were furious. Pepsi knew that making a drastic change to their formula and announcing it to the world would be a recipe for disaster, but the pressure from the sugar tax was unbearable. They had to change. In a moment, I'll tell you exactly what changed. And trust me, you need to know this. Before that, let's talk about how Pepsi made sure you wouldn't even notice. Their first rule was obvious. Don't talk about the change. It would be a secret. No announcements, no ad campaigns, nothing. But people would still notice, right? The taste would be different. So how did they prevent that? What they did was actually kind of genius, and also kind of evil. Instead of making one big and sudden change to their formula, they made a bunch of tiny, almost unnoticeable changes over time. Every now and then, they'd tweak something just a little, slowly pushing the drink closer and closer to the new formula. That way, the change would be gradual, and no one would catch on. And it worked. Pepsi is now saving millions in sugar taxes, all at the expense of their customers' ignorance. Unfortunately for them, people are starting to notice. More and more Pepsi drinkers around the world have been complaining online, saying their Pepsi tastes weird, or even fake. Even so, it doesn't look like the company has any plans to go back, and your country could be next. So, what's the change exactly? Well, cue the drum roll. Pepsi is turning sugar-free. You heard that right. The sugar in their drink is slowly being swapped out for acesulfame K, a synthetic zero-calorie sweetener. In fact, Pepsi's goal by the end of 2025 is to cut 25% of the sugar from their drink. And just in a moment, I'll show you the proof you need. The proof that this little panda managed to find, even though Pepsi tried to hide it in the fine print. Before we get into that, do you think it's ethical for Pepsi to change their formula without telling their loyal customers? And even worse, if Pepsi did it, what other products might be changing without us knowing? So let me know down in the comments what you think. Now, if you still don't believe me, here's the actual proof, hidden deep in the official Pepsi website. So, is all hope lost? Not necessarily. And to explain why, let's look at the case of Toblerone. In 2016, also in the UK, makes you wonder, do companies hate British people? Toblerone shrank their chocolate bars by 10% without telling customers and without lowering the price. But then, something amazing happened. People fought back. Fans of the chocolate spoke out and protested the change. And just 2 years later, the company backtracked and brought back the original size. So who knows, if enough Pepsi drinkers complain, maybe Pepsi will reverse the change just like Toblerone did. And just like that, Dr. Panda out. Subscribe for more and I'll catch you in the next video. Did you know there was a marketing campaign that completely ruined Burger King's sales starring this character? I made a video about it and you can watch it right here.